Hey friends, Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally doesn't work. And by now, you've heard that Randy Gregory has been reinstated by the NFL, and I got to tell you, I couldn't be happier about that fact. I mean, wow. It was amazing because as the news came across and I was down here trying to live stream, it was just like gods of war here, the thunder, the lightning, the lights flickering, everything. It was kind of like, it's alive! It's alive! Because literally, you would have thought it was a Frankenstein movie, and maybe that's a foreshadowing of what's going to happen for our Dallas Cowboys. Maybe this is the impotence for our team to change its mojo. Maybe this will be the moment that we look back and start saying the Cowboys defense started becoming elite. We got piece number one back. What other pieces are left to join to make this defense elite? Oh, man. Let's go to the Will Kane show and see what their thoughts were about Randy Gregory. I kind of like actually having the extra TV screen here and being able to pull up the clips.
Randy Gregory, reinstated Dallas Cowboys, missing piece for the Super Bowl championship, right?
Of course it is. I mean, now that Randy's back, yeah. No, when he came out in the draft, well, this was one of my favorite players. No BS. He really was, because he's got all the physical attributes, right? He's long arms, very flexible, very good first step quickness, and a natural feel for how to field pressure and get to the quarterback and put him on the ground. Simple as that, right? We don't have to cut it any other way. But there were story after story after story about how this kid was so undisciplined as far as taking care of his body, eating right. He's a very thin kid, very small waist, very small boned, and he just wouldn't stop doing the types of things that were just going to hurt him. And it caught up to him. That's right. So it's great to see him back, because I'll tell you what, at his best, DeMarcus Lawrence at his best, those two together, that is something to legit be excited about. But we don't, who knows what he looks like, who knows where he's at physically right now, but it's a step. It's a step, which is great.
So Louis Riddick was on First Take with me this morning, so one thing I know is that we agree it was...
Okay. So again, we're going to have to kind of, pump the brakes a little bit. It's going to take some time to see what we have with him. Now, the interesting thing is going to be is, how is this going to affect the rest of the defensive line? Because we have a logjam right now of defensive players, which is actually a good thing, because we can go through and we can pick out the guys that we truly want. And the other great thing is everybody's going to be hungry. Everybody is going to be fighting for a position. I love that, because here's what happens. A lot of times you get guys that know that they're going to be the starter. Man, I got to practice. I'm the number one guy. They're not hungry and fighting and working hard and putting in the work. The conditioning may not be there because they're not clawing and scratching with their fingernails to get on the team. We've got guys like Kona Ely, who, first round draft pick, a guy who's trying to resurrect his career. He's been kind of a journeyman the last couple of years, had coffee in a couple of places. He's there working under Leon Lett and Rod Martinelli, guys that seem to take people off the scrap heap and turn them into productive players. George Selvey was that guy. I know I always talk about George Selvey. George Selvey was my boy. George Selvey was a great guy. But he was a guy who went to 4 different teams in 4 years and only had 3 sacks. But underneath the Dallas Cowboys, they were able to take him and make him into an 8-sack in 1 season guy. But now you've got premier talent. And hopefully that time away from football has cleared Randy Gregory's head and made him focus, because you lost everything because of the weed. You lost a ton of money. Let's make no bones about it. That was some of the most expensive weed in the world. Because you went from being a potential top 10 draft pick to a guy in the second round, and all those games that you missed, you weren't getting paid. The Cowboys, to their credit, when a lot of people said, cut him, why are we keeping this guy? Understand, they got another year on his rookie contract because he was not part of the team. You weren't losing anything by holding on to him. But potentially, you got somebody who now realizes having football is a blessing and something I got to protect, something I've got to go earn. This also puts pressure on other guys because now, when you're looking at David Irving, where you didn't get a long-term contract with, you decided to go ahead and give him that tender, kind of to prove it. And here it is. Came to OTAs, overweight and couldn't practice. Another suspension for 4 games for PEDs, failing to take his test for PEDs. Now all of a sudden, this puts a lot of pressure on David Irving and guys like Tapper. There's a lot of people fighting for a lot of spaces. And it's going to be interesting to see the camp battles that are going to go on. And I really believe that Randy Gregory, if Randy Gregory comes on, if Randy Gregory has a good season, that this could be the end, possibly. And I know I hate to say this, but it could be harder for David Irving to stay on the field. And I know Vosh will disagree with me on that one. But it's a numbers game in the end. Numbers game as well as cost. So be happy that we got Randy Gregory back. Tamp your brakes some. He's going to need time. Give you a great example of that. You had Greg Hardy, who had 15 sacks, ended up being off for a year. When he came back, only had 6. So it does take time to get back into shape and to learn the system. But you got to feel good about the situation, and I definitely am excited. So this is piece number 1. Could Earl Thomas be piece number 2? Well, there's definitely a desire to be here. It's all on the Seattle Seahawks where that goes. But as always, guys, we're going to be here with the news on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Mark Holmes with Cowboy Joe Boo, and we'll see you soon.